Hey everybody, David Henry here from LearnStageLighting.com, and in this video, I want to talk to you guys about how to run lighting live for bands, okay? So this video, I've got this console pictured here, as well as the visualizer on screen. However, this is going to work on any console. So I've got a Martin MPC set up here, I've got a Martin M Touch, and I've got an Akai APC 40 that I'm using via MPC tools. And if this stuff is new to you, these, particular everything I just mentioned, I'm going to have links to all of it below this video, and some of them on the side as well in the cards. So I just want to talk in this video, kind of give a brief introduction to running lights live for bands, okay? And so the first thing that you're going to want to do is just simply go ahead, and I'm going to click through some things on my console here and program all of the presets or palettes that you're going to use in your show. Now, this is going to vary console by console. There's some consoles, more basic ones like NTEX DMX's software, where you're not necessarily going to make presets or palettes, but for most intermediate like NTEX D Pro or advanced consoles like Martin MPC, like the Hog, like the Grand MA, you're going to be able to make presets or palettes, these building blocks, to make your show. So, for example, we've got some different positions that we can go to. Here, there's a few I like to make, and I'm going to link to a post below that talks about the positions that I like to program in a given show, just to give you a starting point. None of this stuff is gospel truth by any means, so you don't have to follow it to a T, but I want to kind of talk through, as we're in this video, just some things you can do as somebody who's new to lighting, how you can program. So then we're going to program, different colors in. When I am programming my colors, I like to program the front light a little bit desaturated, a little more pastel-like, so it looks a little better on skin. Again, not something you always have to do. If you're lighting a metal band, you might not do that. So I programmed some colors here. And so once I've gone ahead and I've programmed out all the different building blocks, the positions, the colors, gobos that I'm going to use, it's then time to move to the second step. And what is the second step, you may ask? Well, the second step is going to be going ahead and laying out your console. All right. So when I'm laying out my console, I like to go ahead and get as many faders and buttons as I can, because when I'm punting a live show, for the most part, I don't want to have to change pages, okay? Because when you change pages on a console, when you're switching banks or pages, as other consoles may call it, you get lost and you can get confused. And sure, when you get more advanced, and I do this sometimes, you can change pages and keep track of it. But if you're just beginning to run lights live for band, I want to make sure you stay on one page so that you can keep track of everything. You know where it is. You can have some label tape under it, and you know exactly what all of your faders do. And I like to also get as many buttons as I can, whether these are on-screen, touchscreen buttons, or physical buttons like this APC 40 has a wealth of. If your console allows you to use MIDI controllers, that's a great way to get a ton of buttons. And the reason I like buttons so much is, there's a lot of things like positions, like colors, like gobos that you don't need fader control of, right? For things like effects and zoom and movement effects and intensities, you're going to want a fader so you can ride those things up and down. But for something like colors, for gobos, for positions, most of the time, there's really no need to have fader control of these attributes, okay? And so why waste a fader, because they're typically more expensive and there's less of them on most consoles, when you can use a button and you can have a whole bank of buttons that you label either on your screen, on the buttons, or preferably both. And then you can have everything laid out just like that. Now, tip 3, the third step to running lights live for bands, is to go ahead and run your lights live, okay? So once you've programmed different things in, like I've got positions on this row of buttons, I've got colors on this row where everything's a solid color, then I've got front light color only on this row so that I can change my front light at will. Then on here, I've got color combinations in these two rows, so we'll just click one here and see what we get. And then we've got half whites, so half the fixtures are open in these. So if I click, say, this one, it's going to transition to half my fixtures are open, half of them are blue. And I can keep clicking that, and it'll change. So the other half is open while I'm on this this blue magenta preset up in my color combos. Then I've got gobos on my next row, so I could just bring in some gobos like on my front light and on my back light and open those back up as well. And then at the bottom, I've got my playback faders with go back and release. And I've got a variety of effects programmed onto these. And so when you are running your lights live, when you've got everything programmed, some of my biggest tips that I can give you is just, like I said, keep things on a single page so that you're able to go ahead and keep it simple, because when you're running your show live, your primary goal and your primary duty as the lighting designer is to pay attention to what the band is doing. Now, this can be a worship band for a church thing, can be a rock and roll band, a metal band, a DJ, an EDM group. There's so many different options, different types of music that we encounter in this world, and you may be running lights for. And, paying attention to what the people on stage are doing is going to be the biggest thing that really can set you apart and really help you to run a great show live. So, instead of scrambling around on pages or whatnot, you're just, there's going to be times where you're just watching the show and, say I'm in here in blue in a slow song, and I just go ahead and, there's kind of a need for some movement. So let me bring in a little bit of a color effect here. We're just going to fade a little bit of a color effect here on this blue. As the band starts to get more upbeat, we may even end up, doing a little movement in here at some point. Maybe as the band moves on, maybe as they go to a chorus, where things get really upbeat, then we may go ahead, hey, let's not run that movement anymore, but let's go ahead and, do color combination. And so you can really, as you're following the band live, really paying attention to them as you anticipate moments coming ahead, you can go ahead, get your finger ready, and press the button when you're ready to go. Another cool trick you can do, I can go ahead, bring some of my lights out. I could bring all my lights out, really, except my front light. I could go ahead, start a movement cue here. So we've got them moving. They're moving around like crazy. And so then we're just going to simply go ahead and bring them back in, maybe one at a time, because the band's playing. Oh, now maybe we feel the need to switch, groups of lights. We could switch back and forth. We could keep one up at a time. We could keep both of them up at a time. The possibilities are really endless. And, I don't want to take forever to go really deep, because I want to keep this pretty base level for you guys here. But, the fact is, when you're running lights live for bands, it can be pretty tough to know what to do. And so, one of the things, if this lesson so far has really interested you so far, I want to go ahead and share with you Learn Stage Lighting Labs. So you may have heard of this. This is my community, my membership, where people come in to learn how to create amazing lighting. And, if you're interested specifically in punting, in running things live on a stage for bands, I've actually got a whole action plan just about punting, okay? So I walk you through everything you need to do to learn how to punt. We spend a lot of time in the visualizer, like we do here, and then we go ahead and show you step by step, hey, what do you need to program on faders, on buttons? How do you set up different consoles for punting? And then, of course, show you how to run everything live. And so if that's something that sounds like it's interesting to you, definitely go ahead, check out Learn Stage Lighting Labs. And for those of you who aren't interested in that, that's okay. Keep watching here on YouTube. There's going to be more videos coming up here, reviews, I'll just be here talking about lighting, answering questions that you guys have, and more. So stick around, subscribe, and don't forget to check out LearnStageLighting.com. Thanks, guys.